50 best albums of 2018. We are finally here. We are finally. I remember thinking at the start of the year that this wasn't a particularly great year for music. I mean, it's kind of stupid to say that at the start of the year, but even at the midpoint, I was just like, I don't know if this year's going to end up being great, but by the end, it picked up a lot, and I found so many great releases, especially in like the September, October, November months. It was such a great time to discover all the fantastic music that has come out this year, and it's ended up being a pretty damn good year in my opinion. Sure, I've had a lot of disappointments, I've had a lot of albums that have been highly regarded, but I've personally just not loved them in the same way. So, you know, if you're wondering where certain albums are on this list, that'll be why. You know, go back and watch my reviews if you'd like, in case you didn't see them, to wonder why maybe a specific album that got critical acclaim isn't here. I did explain my thoughts, so I hope you get a lot of recommendations from this nevertheless though. I'm going to go into this list, hope you enjoy, hope you find some great music from my recommendations. I'm excited to talk about all these albums here, and always comment yours. What's your albums of the year? Let me know, it's always good to share albums and stuff like that, and share music, and yeah, here we go. Number 50, Caroline Rose with Loner, an album I discovered a bit later on, but it's actually a pretty damn good indie pop, indie rock album. Then at 49, the singer-songwriter veteran Nico Case with her album Hell On. Number 48, Birds in Row, the post-hardcore band with We Already Lost the World. And at 47, Jeff Rosenstock's very political Post, which actually sort of cooled down on me as the year went on, but I still think it's actually a really good album. Number 46, just pretend this review never happened. This album's so much fun. I don't know what I was smoking back in May or whenever it was it came out. Just pretend it never happened. Dial It by Playboi Carti. Yes, I was wrong. It's good. It's so fun. R.I.P. and friggin' Pull Up are some of the most fun songs of the year. I was wrong. Number 45, Sophie with her debut full-length album, an album that is so bubbly and off the wall that is incredibly fun to listen to and incredibly unique for our times, I would say, for pop music. Yeah, it's just crazy, this album. Number 44, Natalie Prass with The Future and the Past, and then at number 43, Michaela Davis with her very nice and soft piano pop album Delivery. Number 42, the now Grammy nominated Casey Musgraves with her album Golden Hour, the more pop leaning country album that she put out this year, which had mixed reviews overall but critically acclaimed across most publications, and I had a lot of fun with this album, to be honest. I think there's some great tracks on here. Number 41, one of the most consistent post-punk bands of our time, Ice Age with their album Beyond Us. And number 40, an album that I unfortunately never got round to reviewing, Collabs, Black Noise 2084, a fantastic electronic album with African influences all across the board, so good. 39, Quelly Chris and Jean Grey with their album Everything Is Fine, Everything's Fine, Everything Is Fine. Number 38, Park Ji-hye with Communion, a very good jazz album that actually technically got released in 2016, but it got released again in 2018 with a bigger label push, so I'm counting it for this year, even though technically you could call it 2016. But I'm calling it 2018, alright? It's no big deal. It's no big deal. Number 37, Eve Toomer with Safe in the Hands of Love, a very, very creative and experimental album that I don't think anyone saw coming this year, but with the critical acclaim that it got early on, it managed to cross over to quite a lot of people, and I'm very happy that I discovered it too. It's very good. Number 36, one of the most fun indie rock albums I've heard in 2018, Surface to Air Missive with the album Surface to Air Missive. And then at number 35, Eli Kessler with the album Stadium, a very interesting electroacoustic album that I highly recommend. Number 34, I've got the L'Orange and Solemn Brigham collaboration hip-hop album Marlowe, and then at number 33, Rollo Tomasi with Time Will Die and Love Will Bury It. Number 32, an album that massively cooled down on me as the year went on, unfortunately. It's still very good and still worthy of my list, but I've got here Deaf Heaven's Ordinary Corrupt Human Love. Number 31, New Zealand indie rock band Rolling Blackouts Coastal Fever with the album Hopes Down. Number 30, this woman is like 80. It's unbelievable how old this lady is. Elsa Suarez, man, holy shit, this is just such a great bossa nova album. She's 80. Number 29, English post-punk, punk rock outfit, Idols with Joy as an Act of Resistance. And then at number 28, again, another album that cooled down on me as the year went on. John Hopkins' Singularity, still a very good album. I do think I slightly prefer Immunity though, which is a near masterpiece, but Singularity to me was very good too. One of the best rappers around, No Name at number 27 with her album Room 25. And at number 26, an album I recently discovered, but it is in fact a posthumous release from Gurumul. This album is glorious. Like, the vocals across this entire thing are just so impassioned. It's unbelievable. I never got to review it. I discovered it recently, but my god, this is something special right here. Number 25, Fennec with So That I May See You Again, a really good house album that Buffalo Staple thankfully put me onto. Heinz I Don't Run at number 24, a really good Spanish indie band that I think deserve quite a lot more attention than they get. And then at number 23, Crisis and Elzai with Jericho Jackson. Crisis and Elzai come together to make a very traditional sounding hip-hop album, but because Elzai is one of the best rappers in the game, it just ends up edging out most rap albums I've heard in 2018. His wordplay is unbelievable. An album that massively grew on me at number 22, George Clanton's Slide. Holy shit, such a great chill wave pop album. I'm so excited to see what he can do in the future, because I guarantee he's going to top this. He is going to top this for sure. For 21, the very interesting blend of metal and gospel and soul on Zealand Ordor's Stranger Fruit album. I, again, gave this a very rave review when it initially dropped. Cooled down on it a little bit, but still a fantastic release. Now for the top 20. We are in the top 20 and we're getting sweaty in here. This is some sexy, sweaty heat. Sweat. Caliuchis with Isolation here. Perhaps an album that not many people would have as high as me, perhaps, but I think it's one of the R&B highlights of 2018. I think Caliuchis has such a sultry and smoky voice over these really wonderful R&B beats, some you know, that Latin influence on here at times too. I just think Caliuchis is one of the better R&B vocalists we've got in the game right now, and again, this is one of those albums that she can probably top in the future, but for now I'm really happy with so many tracks on here, like Just a Stranger, Steve Lacy's production, again, just killing it. He's killing the game with his bass lines and bass grooves, and it's such a highlight for R&B in 2018 for me. Number 19, we have some rap songs by Earl Sweatshirt. Yes, this was an album I didn't know what to expect going into it, because of the lead singles were just kind of dizzying and very, very otherworldly. But once the album came together in such a short runtime, I think it all just made sense, and the detail he packs in with his lyrics, the emotions, everything about the production just works. I think it just all works. It shouldn't work, but it somehow all does to make, I think, perhaps one of the best rap albums of the year. I can totally see why people were put off by this, but for me, I think this is very, very good. Fathers with Cocoa Sugar, an album that I praised highly upon release, but only as the year went on I noticed how great so many of these individual tracks are. Like, they are just one of the most eclectic indie bands around that can blend so many different genres together. You know, art pop, and you know, lo-fi-ish sounds. It just all works. Like the way they are able to craft these tracks, I just think they deserve way more attention. Yeah, sure, they're kind of popular, but they really deserve way more than they get. And in the UK right now, you cannot even point to a single band that's doing what they're doing, and they do it so well. I mean, my song of the year, as you all know, is In My View, just an absolute perfect song. And the album throughout is just filled with so many gems. They are a band that they just are fantastic. They really deserve more than they get. Yeah, Cocoa Sugar, great album. Number 17 is certainly an album I just did not see coming, but the Beths, the New Zealanders, the Beths just came through with such a fun and catchy and hooky and sticky indie pop rock album that just every track is just killer. Like, this is just how you do this style of music. I mean, so many indie bands these days have like reverb and like, you know, like the vocalists are very monotone. But I think the Beths are just one of the best around that are doing this style right now, because they just have so much energy, so much charisma in the vocals. Yeah, sure, the lyrics for the most part are very self-deprecating, but I think everything that comes together just works. It's one of those moments where you get like happy songs with like sad lyrics and stuff, and I've always had a soft spot for that kind of stuff. And yeah, the Beths right now, one of the better indie bands around. So yeah, this is so much fun. Future Me Hates Me, number 17. Henry Osborne with Nervous Hand, number 16. Again, an album that I just thought to myself, wow, this is actually really higher than I expected to be on my list, but seriously, it is such a highlight for hip-hop in 2018. The A$AP Rock influence is pretty clear on this album, but Henry makes it his own. So many great beats on here. He is rapping his ass off over these really, really well put together beats. So many great choruses. He can sing as well. Yeah, I just think this is such a great little indie rap release that really deserves more attention than it got. Number 15, I've got US Girls with Inner Poem Unlimited. Like with the Kali Uchis album, I feel as though not as many people seem to have loved this as much as I did, but I'm totally okay with that, because I think this is actually a really good pop album overall. Like, I think vocally, she has such a gorgeous voice over these really well put together beats. I think it's kind of become pretty underrated in some senses, because I just don't think people appreciate how well crafted these tracks are, especially considering, you know, like most pop music I don't think really sounds like this at the moment, and I think US Girls killed it on here. So yeah, In a Poem Unlimited, great album. One thing I noticed in 2018 was that as the year went by, I was discovering more and more foreign language music, and Air Thief's Crumbling was one of those albums that I discovered, a Korean band here. I mean, you wouldn't find music like this in the Western world, so it just goes to show that once you dig deeper and go across the world to find different styles of music, you're going to discover great stuff, because this is such a sunny, happy sounding album. Like, there ain't anything like this you're going to hear in America or the UK or Canada or whatever. This is such a pure album. Glorious. It just puts a smile on my face, man, whenever I hear this. It's such a great creative little album that, again, Rate Your Music is promoting artists like this, and I'm just so thankful for it. I'm just so thankful for the internet era that we're in for music. Number 13, Against All Logic with 2012 to 2017. I mean, Nicholas Jar at this point is just killing it with every release. Like, seriously, so many of his albums I have just got so high on my year-end list, because I just think he kills it every time. And this house album, for me, is one of the highlights in the genre of the decade. I mean, I can't really point to many house albums that are this consistent and this fluid throughout. I mean, every track, for me, it just has a great little hooky element to it. You know, the sampling on here I think is phenomenal too. I've seen more people as the year's gone on become apathetic to this album, but it just held up for me the whole year round. I don't know, I'm kind of sad for people that don't get the same enjoyment out of this for me, because I can just sit on my, sit in my bedroom and like dance to this whole way through. I just think every track is fire as hell. And Nicholas Shaw, once again, knocking it out of the park. I was saying earlier about foreign language music creeping up on me in 2018, and at number 12 we have Niño de Elche. Holy shit, this album is avant-garde as fuck. Like, there are some like genre tags that describe this as anti-folk, which probably is the most pretentious thing I'll ever have to say on this channel, but seriously, this man is absolutely wild and chaotic and just puts out this unbelievable creativity of genres coming together. There are Spanish influences on here. And yeah, sure, it's like an hour and 46 minutes, which is obviously going to put off a lot of people. But I think from start to finish, I'm hooked on every track. I think every track is near perfection. I think this man is amazing at creating music, and some of the most creative music I've heard in 2018. Tropical Fuckstorm at number 11, an album I thought nothing of when I first heard it, which is very bizarre to think that now it's crept up to number 11 on my year-end list. Gareth Liddiard, man, he is an immense vocalist. The power he has in his voice, the blend of punk, blues and rock that they put together on this album. They've been doing it with the drones too, but I think maybe here it's done even better somehow. Yeah, just everything about it. This vocalist, Gareth, is not afraid to just say, you know, anything. Speak truth to power. There's so many great lyrics on here. What a great rock album, man. Holy shit. Care For Me by Saba is a very powerful album. Saba went through very difficult personal traumas over the past few years regarding death in family and death of friends, and he somehow turned that into some amazing music. Tracks like Prom King and the opening track too. Holy shit, I mean, I just think lyrically he is fantastic. Musically, this is a good hip-hop album too. Occasionally he wears his influences a little bit on his sleeves, but it never holds him back because this is so good. Number 9, my girl Julia Holter, Aviary. Wow. This album is chamber pop at its best. Like, I think she took every element of what she was doing on her previous work and just turned it into this extravagant 90-minute epic, which, yeah, for some people perhaps is a little long, but I think throughout the course of the album, everything hits. It's just all done masterfully. Vocals are absolutely stunning, and I would go as far as saying at this point Julia Holter has the best discography of the 2010s. I know that's a big bold statement to make, but along with Ecstasis, Loud City Song, and Have You In My Wilderness, and of course Aviary, I think that is just such a great run of amazing albums that not many artists have managed to capture in this decade, I don't think. So yeah, wonderful. Number 8, a very overlooked country album, I believe, but one of the better country albums we've had in recent memory. Courtney Marie Andrews with May Your Kindness Remain. The album is very traditional in its country sound, but lyrically, I think Courtney kills it on this album. The lyrics across the entire thing are incredibly potent and poignant too. And I just think vocally, she is just an absolute stunner of a singer. Like, I could listen to her all day. I think she has an absolute beautiful voice. And of course, not many people, you know, who are in the music community really rave about country music, but I think this is one of those that's going to be pretty universal, I think. I think even if you're not that big on country, you should definitely give this one a shot. But 7, at the start of the year, I wasn't convinced this would be so high on my list because I thought, you know, so many albums would overtake it as the year goes on, but it's here. It's in the top 10. First Aid Kit with Ruins, another album that perhaps isn't really an album that connected with a lot of people, but it absolutely connected with me. I think these two vocalists, these two sisters, are just perfect together. They harmonize so well. Like, their voices are just absolutely delicate, and I just think the way they sing is just absolutely beautiful. That's enough for me to have it so high on the list, just listening to these two singers sing. The album is pretty standard Americana type folk stuff, but even still, I think they craft some amazing tracks like Fireworks and Rebel Heart. Like, yeah, I just think this album through and through is fantastic from start to finish. And it's a shame that not more people resonated with this as much as I did, because I genuinely think this is something special right here. At number 6, the reimagination of the 2011 lo-fi internet gem, Twin Fantasy by Headrest. Headrest is probably one of my favourite indie rock bands around in the 2010s, and I'm really glad that, you know, Will Toledo and the band saw fit to re-record this entire thing, because I just think everything about it is so much better than the original now. I think, you know, perhaps as a vocalist, Will isn't the best around, but I think he sells his performances so well. I think the performances all around across this album are fantastic. Even the lengthy, like 15 minute tracks on here, to me, I think are phenomenal. I think they are absolutely fantastic. And yeah, I think maybe not quite as good as Teens of Denial, but two massive moments for indie rock in the 2010s for me right here. Number 5, Ichigo Aoba with QP. Yeah, this right here, I mean, look, of course I can't understand what she is singing, as she is Japanese and I don't speak Japanese, but I don't even care. Like, I just don't care. I could listen to her voice forever, like for eternity. If her voice was just playing in my head, I don't think I would ever get bored of it. Like, it is just wonderful. Like, this is some of the most wonderful music I think I've heard all year. I really should have just slapped a 9 out of 10 on this when it initially came out, because it just deserves it. Like, yeah, it's so simple. It is just such a simple album. You know, it's an acoustic guitar and Ichigo's voice, and I don't know how it works so well, but it is unbelievable. Like, I cannot fathom how this is just as amazing as it is. It's so simple, yet she is incredibly effective. Wow. Oh my god, it just, it's just so nice. Number 4, one of the best pop producers around right now, Clarence Clarity with Think Peace. Yeah, I think this is now made better, to be honest. I think all the tracks on here are absolutely fantastic. They are instantaneously hooky as hell. I cannot stress how much fun I have with every track on here. You know, that maybe 1 or 2 don't hit me in the same way that every other track does, but the tracks that hit me are fucking fantastic. I think Clarence Clarity is going to be a bigger name in the future, or even start working with bigger names, because I just think his eclectic approach to pop music is unmatched by so many artists around right now. Yeah, I think this is just how pop needs to start sounding, because he does it so well. You Won't Get What You Want by Daughters, and number 3, an unbelievable noise rock album that I think so many people have latched onto as the years gone by, including myself. The performances on here are phenomenal. This vocalist can really sell this anxiety-ridden, like, hellish feeling, like, across this entire thing. And I think it could be a big put-off for a lot of people, but for me, I just think everything about his voice, everything about these tracks, the way they put together is so unique for rock music in the 2010s, and noise rock, I think, in general. I think this is a massive highlight for the genre. And yeah, I just think right here, the critical acclaim that it got is absolutely deserved. Yeah, this is something special right here, I think. Now we're at the top 2. If you've been watching me for most of the year, you might guess what's my number 1. I don't know. I don't know how good you are at this guessing game. But my number 2 is Wide Awake by Parquet Courts. Man, look, I don't have a problem with Tom Brady. Like, I'm sure he's probably an okay guy. But when this singer yells, "Fuck Tom Brady," I feel that shit, man. I am just screaming along with the guy. I don't know why, because I have no problems with Tom Brady, but everything about this album is just done so well. The production from Danger Mouse is flawless. Like, holy shit, this is pristine rock music right here. Tracks like Freebird 2, Tenderness, Wide Awake, Total Football, like, they are just amazing indie rock tracks that I just cannot believe most critics went and overlooked this throughout most of the year. And why has this not even got a Grammy nomination? Like, what the hell? What? The album is very political, but you don't even have to align yourself with the politics on this album to enjoy it. Like, I'm sure there are plenty of people out there that don't agree with everything they say across this album, but you don't need to. Like, you just don't need to. You can honestly enjoy this without even taking on board the political statements that they make throughout this album. That to me is when an album is done so well, when you don't feel like you're being spoken down to, or you don't feel like you're being preached at, but you can absolutely take on board the messages that are intertwined within the lyrics and have a fun time too. Like, this is just a fun time of a rock album that I think is unmatched by most rock albums in this decade. This is absolutely going to go down as one of the best rock albums of the 2010s, easily. And now we're at my #1 album of the year. And for anyone who had a sharp eye, which you obviously didn't, I was actually wearing the same t-shirt in the review of this album, so I thought I'd put it on just to see if anyone would work it out. But, you know, why the hell would you notice that? No one knows what people wear in videos. Like, but I just wanted to do it anyway. Avondale Bowling Club with the self-titled album. This is jazz rap perfection right here. I said in my review that jazz rap, the term jazz rap, does get thrown around a little bit too much, when generally it's just a rap album that uses some jazz samples. But this here is jazz. Like, it is jazz rap. Tom, as a rapper, is rapping over just these amazing live jazz instrumentals. It is phenomenal. Like, it is amazing to listen to. And to top it off as well, he is an amazing lyricist. Like, so many of these tracks deal with such real issues, like real life problems, as he has to sit and dwell on his life and understand that things aren't going too well, and, you know, understanding responsibility as he grows into becoming an adult and what being an adult actually means. Problems with money, problems with how life just takes over and stress gets in the way of everything, and the things that you wanted to do don't ever really amount to anything because you just don't have the time. And to top it all off as well, this guy, you know, tweeted a few months after the album that this album put him into debt. Like, the album, making the album put him into debt, which just kind of makes the album even more real to me, the context around it. And I just think he is an amazing lyricist. His pen game is unmatched. Honestly, it is fantastic. I think personally this is an absolute highlight in the hip-hop genre of the 2010s. Like, absolutely. Yeah, I just have such a great time listening to this. I think the music on here, I just find to be flawless, honestly. And wow, it just feels right to have it as my album of the year, honestly. So yeah, that's it. Album of the year, Avondale Bowling Club. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you've enjoyed 2018 for music. So it has been very, very good. And I hope you got some recommendations from my list too. Please let me know your albums of the year in the comments. I would love to see everyone's lists for 2018. Let me know your thoughts on the albums I chose. And that's it, 2018, man, it's over. It's been a great year. Excited for 2019. Make sure you subscribe. Have a good day. Goodbye.